And Paul explains that God had chosen him to be a witness, not because he deserved it or earned it, but because God had called him. And then comes the turning point for the crowd, when Jesus tells Paul, "Go, for I will send you far away to the Gentiles." And that's when everything exploded. The crowd had listened up until that point, but the idea that God's grace would extend fully to the Gentiles was too much for many of them to accept. They begin shouting again, demanding his death. It's a reminder that people often love grace for themselves, but they struggle with grace for others. And then Paul is taken into custody. Roman soldiers order him to be examined and then flogged. But just before the punishment begins, Paul asks, "Is it lawful for you to flog a man who is a Roman citizen and uncondemned?" And the brakes are put on full stop. Because Paul isn't just a Jewish citizen. He's also a Roman citizen with legal protections. So now let's take a look at Acts chapter 22 and what it actually does for you and me today. It asks, what's your story? Because every follower of Jesus has one. It doesn't have to be dramatic or even spectacular, but a story of where you've been and how God has been at work in your life. Another question to navigate is, are you willing to be honest about your past? Because Paul never pretended to be somebody he wasn't. He openly acknowledges where he was wrong, and that's part of what makes his testimony powerful. Hey, that's all we have time for today. As you look at what it looks like to live as a life of a follower of Jesus, determine how it is that God is calling you to live right where you are in the life you already have. Be well, friends.